Okay, today we're going to finish up multiplication in chapter 10. So after this section, like next week, we will be taking a test over the first part of chapter 10 before we move on to factoring. So today we're doing special products, which there's 3 different types of special products. The first one is the square of a sum. Now, I'm going to kind of give you like the rule we use on this essentially to help us solve, and then we'll work through a couple examples. Okay, so I'm going to show you first, and then I'll kind of write the steps down below. So if I have a plus b squared, you could have numbers, you could have variables, you could have a combination of these things. Okay, your answer is going to be a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. And now I'm going to kind of walk you through how we get it. Okay, so here's your steps. You're going to square the first term. So what is my first term in the parentheses? A. Well, what's a times a give you? A squared, right? So we square the first term, which gives us a squared. Your second step is multiply the 2 terms and double. Okay? It seems confusing at first, but I think once we do a couple, you guys are like, okay, we get it. What is A times B? No, just AB. And then if I double that, that would give me 2AB. Okay? Last step is to square the last term. So again, my last term is B. What does B times B give you? B squared. Okay? So we're going to go through a couple examples of using that. I am going to tell you at the end of the day, if you absolutely couldn't remember this, how else could you write a plus b squared? How could you write that out? What does a plus b squared mean you're actually doing?
1 plus 2 squared.
Not 1 plus 2, but what does squared mean you do?
Double.
Multiply something by itself, right? So that would be the same as saying a plus b times what? What's itself? A plus b. So it'd be the same as writing it twice, and then could you use what I taught you last week to distribute both terms? You could. This just kind of helps you eliminate some of those steps. Okay, so let's look at a couple examples of that. We'll see if it clears anything up or not. Who knows? Okay, my first step is to square my first term. If I square this, what would that give me? X times x is x squared. Okay, my second step is to multiply the 2 together. What's x times 5 give you? 5x, and then double that to get 10x. My last step is to square the last term. What's 5 squared? 25. 5 times 5, 25. We're going to do a few of these, so I think you guys are going to, hopefully we're picking it up. Okay? So, first step, square my first term. So what is 3x times 3x? 9x squared. Yeah, 9x squared. Okay. Then I'm going to multiply the 2 together. So really, I would just look at the number parts first. What's 3 times 4? Okay. So 3 times 4 is 12. Double 12 to get 24. So plus 24, and then what variables should they each have?
X and Y.
X and Y. Okay, and then I square my last term. What's 4y times 4y? 16y squared. Okay. All right, last one like this, then we'll do subtraction. Anybody think they can do this one after the first two examples? Come on, go for it, JC. What's my first step?
Do the AC to the second power.
Okay, what's 8c times 8c?
64.
64,
C to the second power.
good. 64, c to the second power. Then what's my next step?
Do
8 times 3.
Come on, 8 times 3 is what?
24.
24, and then what do I do to 24?
Put CD.
Somebody over here said it. Times it by 2, or double it. What's twice 24? 48, and put what variables? CD. Last step. 3 squared is 9. What variable? D to the second. Okay? Now, here's the nice thing. When we move on to square of a difference, it's essentially the same steps. Okay? So, square of a difference just means they're subtracting inside there. So if I had a minus b squared, I'm still going to do the same thing, okay? So what's a times a? A squared. I multiply these together. 1 times 1 is 1. Double it to get... If I double 1, what? 2, right? The only difference on this problem is your middle term has subtraction. So it's going to be minus 2ab. And then if I square my last term, what's negative b times negative b? Positive b squared. So here's the deal. It's the exact same steps. The only difference is this right here has to be what? A negative, okay? If you have a minus in the middle, your middle term is going to be a negative. Last term will always be positive because when you square two negatives, it makes a positive. Yes? Okay, so let's try a couple examples of that. Okay. 6 squared gives you what?
12b squared.
You got part of it correct. What's 6 times 6? 36, yes. P squared was good. Okay, then we multiply. 6 times negative 1 is negative 6. Double it to get...
16.
12.
12.
Oh,
right? 6 times 1 is 6. Double 6, we get 12. With what variable?
wait, how was the negative?
B.
P. Do what? Because 6, 6 times negative 1 is negative 6. And double negative 6, you get negative 12.
Negative 6. Oh, it's 2.
Times 2. Yeah, you're just doubling is times 2. Yeah, okay? Has to have the variable. Last step, negative 1 times negative 1,
1.
positive 1. Good. Okay, last one, we'll move on. Okay, square the first term. A times A gives me what? A squared. Multiply these two together. What is 1 times negative 2? And then if I double negative 2, I get negative 4 with what variables? A, B. Both variables on my middle term. Then square my last term. What's negative 2 times negative 2? Positive 4. B squared. Good. I think you guys are getting it. Yeah? Feel like it's not too bad? those two are pretty easy. What's the one thing you have to watch for on these?
Negative, positive.
The negative or positive in your middle term. Okay? All right? Last one is probably the easiest one. Okay? So, product of a sum and difference means you have one parentheses that's subtraction, one that is addition, when they look exactly the same. So, this only works if they look exactly the same other than one's subtraction, one's addition. So, I have A and B subtracted, I have A and B added. That's the only time it works. The reason I tell you that is if it said A minus B and then A plus C, would this method I'm about to teach you work? No, because they don't look exactly the same. Okay?
So they won't ever give us that then?
Well, in that case, you would just distribute like I taught you before. Okay? So let me show you how this works. If I were to distribute this, what's A times A? A squared. What is, I don't want that. What's A times B?
AB.
So positive, right? Losing it. Positive AB. What's negative B times A?
Negative AB.
Negative AB. And then what is negative B times positive B? Negative B squared. Okay? Now, do you see anything that I could add together? What happens to positive AB and the negative AB? Yeah, they're opposites, so they cancel, and you're left with A squared minus B squared. Okay? So, would there be an easier way to do this than distributing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Square the first term. That would give me A squared. Subtract. Has to have subtraction in the middle. Square the last term. Okay? That's why these are the easiest ones, because you go straight to your answer. Okay? Let me show you. 3n plus 2 times 3n minus 2. Do they look exactly the same except for addition and subtraction?
Yeah.
Okay? So we square the first term. What do I get when I square my first term?
9 into the same.
Okay? And then I'm going to subtract. What's 2 times 2?
4.
4. Done. Okay? One more. I think we'll be okay. First question. Do they look exactly the same other than addition and subtraction?
Yep.
Okay, what do I do?
Double the 4C.
Not double it,
Square.
square it. What's 4 squared, or 4 times 4?
16.
16.
C to the second.
C to the second. Square the next one. What's 7 times 7?
49. D to the second.
Very good. Okay, so here's the other thing. Truthfully, on these, like, there's really not a lot of work to show. Okay, now, again, if you forgot that, could you still distribute like what we did on our quiz yesterday? Sure. Okay, but on a lot of these, you'll move through them a lot quicker if you'll just remember your rules. All right. Okay, today is just practice.